I guess the film is about people who does what they know what to do because they are who they are. So no matter the circumstances, they simply try to do what they did before as a way of remembering they are a human being. In a way, it's a film about trembling, small candle lighting in the middle of a huge darkness ocean, I guess.
In a way, Rodrigo, for me, the film has like it's a film within a film because the sentiments within the play are different than in real life, but at the same time, they complement each other. Could you talk about the duality of the story?
Yeah, that was probably the hardest thing to get, because as you're saying, this is a film within a film, and even our characters are people within people, because they share names with the characters of the play, and at the beginning they are very different things, even in terms of point of view. We have the real actors, and then we have the characters, and every time we see the play, it's from the outside in a very objective way. But little by little, both sides of the story, or both levels of the story, start to get mixed and to merge till characters start to communicate through the dialogues or through the lines of the play. So everything is the same. They do probably every night, but it means a very, very, very different thing. So in a way, it was like having a 3-ring circus, because you have to play in the first place in real time, but at the same time, everything depends on the point of view. So when you see something from the outside, the same line means something very different than when you put the camera on the stage and you see the real communication between the characters, which is different from what you see from the left wing or from the right wing. So you have to not only manipulate the point of view, but also the levels of performance that are completely different.
You know, I really felt part of the horror or being in the ghetto in Warsaw at the time, confined by the Nazis. How did you accomplish the darkness of the period, but also the love story that is very uplifting? I guess it was a difficult thin line.
In the first place, when I read the first draft, which was written by David Safier, the German writer, and it was a beautiful story, I felt I needed to study many documents written inside the ghetto from 1939 and 1942. I didn't want to read anything written afterwards or from the outside of the ghetto, because I wanted to capture this level of confusion of things that they were living inside when they didn't know what was really happening. When you read about history now, everything is in a way literature, because many time has happened and things have been established in a certain way. So when I did all the rewrites, I took all that in consideration, and I wanted to focus not on explaining the history, but the story. I think that was the most honest thing for me to do, to focus on real human being. I didn't want anybody to be good or bad, but to be someone who has as a main goal to live for another half an hour. And I cannot judge that from the outside or from nowadays. And also, I didn't want everybody to be, I don't know, a kind of hero or to represent some kind of archetype. I wanted to tell the story of a group of actors. Yeah, they were living under the hardest and most inconvenient and terrible circumstances, but above all, they are actors, and they want to finish the play, because that's what actors do. Maybe your father dies, but you cry for him tomorrow because tonight you have to do the play. Or maybe the lights go out and you light a few candles, but you do the play. Or maybe you all have a fever, but tonight you do the play. And when you get that almost in a paradoxical way, you are more universal because you don't try to be symbolic or you don't try to give a lesson. You focus on real emotions and the story resounds.
How much is a tribute to the power of humankind and love?
It is, but also when an actor does what he knows or what she does, it's for very generous reasons, and also for very selfish reasons, and also because they are what they are, and they wouldn't know how to do things differently. They want an applause even under these circumstances. So I'm not saying that you are not right. You are. This is a tribute to all to those people. But also, I didn't want to be cheesy or manipulative.
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 A manipulator.
Exactly. I wanted to focus on everybody's reasons, and yes, of course, even under the most terrible circumstances, there's love. There's always love. For instance, I always have in consideration Billy Wilder as a reference, because he can be so funny and also so pessimistic, and both things happen at the same time. But no matter how cynical he looks or he is, in a way he's a romantic, a kind of hidden romantic. Like he didn't trust humanity, he didn't trust mankind, but he only trusted love. On the other hand, we are talking here about real love, and real love is never interested. This is one of these universal questions, and one of the questions the film asks itself: what's better, to love or to be loved? And the most realistic answer is the one the film gives. It's not like you can choose. So
yeah. Tell me a little about the actors. I thought they were wonderful. I know that you brought a lot of people from different countries, which is great.
yeah, it was a tough cast because of course they had to be great actors, but also very good singers, and they needed to be able to dance and do all this stuff, because all the songs are sung live. So we didn't do any playback with back and drums or whatever. So usually you can get an actor who more or less knows how to sing. You focus on every line. Maybe you use auto-tune, whatever, you get the needed nuance. But in this case, they are actually singing using the same technique like we did with dialogue. So every time you see them singing is because they are really singing, and the audio comes from that specific take. So they give to the performance the specific emotion of that moment, like they were singing live, like they were really performing the play. So it's funny because for 2 weeks we did rehearsals, but 90% of the rehearsals were dedicated to the play itself. So they knew everything, like we were gonna represent it 2 weeks later, so we could start to play with the nuance of those performances in different energies and levels afterwards. So we did the cast from London, but we opened it to whole Europe. So we have English, British, German, Danish, Swedish actors.
Swedish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Spanish, exactly.
Italian. Where did you shoot the movie? It looked very realistic. Don't tell me it was Pinewood Studios.
No. It's even harder to explain because most of it was shot in Spain. Most of it was shot in a theater near Barcelona, in a place called El Masnou. It was an old theater. They cannot use it because it's too old, so it's not safe for the public. But it was, of course, for us, and it was a gift. But of course, we also needed to build the guts of the theater, the hallways and the dressing room and the backstage and all that stuff. We did it also in Barcelona, and the beginning, this very long 11-minute single take was, I mean, when we see the ghetto itself
and she's
on the
walking
outside,
over, right?
Exactly. That was shot in Berlin in the Babelsberg studios.
Very nice. So listen, you know, there are a lot of films out there, many thousands of films a year or hundreds all over the world, thousands. Why do you think this one got picked by Lionsgate?
Well, I think it has to do with the fact that it's a piece of history that, as far as I know, has never been told. We all tend to think that a ghetto, in a way, has the imaginary of a concentration camp, but it was a very complex society. Of course, very crowded, but very complex, with rich people, poor people. There was love, there was corruption, there was hunger, and even in the middle of that, there were really people trying to do what they knew what to do, which means that there were musicians, there was even a symphonic orchestra, poetry readings, and this has never been told. So telling all this, I wouldn't say in an optimistic way. I don't know if the film is optimistic or not, frankly. I simply don't know, because I again didn't try not to manipulate.
You know why I think it's optimistic? Because when you see people in a situation like that laughing at the play, for me it was amazing. I was saying, whoa, you're such a privileged person. Look at these people. They can still find, you know, their soul and enjoy life and in such a limited space.
That happened. It's hard to believe, but that happened. This play existed. It actually existed, yeah. and it was represented in the rawest winter of 1942. Not the story we are telling, but yeah. Yes, the play. And the play survived, and the songs didn't survive, but the lyrics did. So we needed to reinvent those songs. We needed to recompose them. But you are right, this is hard to believe. But people, for an hour, got to that theater in the middle of that hell, and they laughed. And not only they laughed, but they laughed about their own conditions, because this play, its original title would have a more accurate translation, something like "Love Looks for an Apartment" or something like that. This play described in a funny way their own circumstances, including hunger, including death, including corruption, including the violence of the Jew police, everything. Of course, they were not allowed to laugh at the Germans,
right?
But beyond that, they laugh at their own conditions as a way of surviving, again, as a way of remembering that they were still human.
Ahora, un par de preguntas en español, ¿vale? En castellano. Cuéntame,
Genial.
Rodrigo, ¿qué es lo que te atrajo de esta historia tan bonita de Love Gets a Room? El amor pilla una habitación o algo así.
Me atrajeron varias cosas. En primer lugar, sentía que por lo menos hasta donde llega o hasta donde alcanza mi conocimiento, era una historia que no se había contado, que no se había contado en el cine. No era una historia de la Segunda Guerra Mundial, ni era una historia más sobre la ocupación, ni sobre el Holocausto, sino una pieza muy difícil de catalogar, narrada de una forma aparentemente casi inconveniente, sobre un periodo muy duro en que un grupo de actores, sin embargo, trataban de seguir llevando luz y calidez a ese infierno de oscuridad. Y me atrajeron más cosas. Me atrajo, por ejemplo, la sensación que tuve desde el primer momento de que me iba a meter en un circo de tres pistas muy difícil de manejar, teniendo que trabajar en tiempo real, sin elipsis y sin saltos temporales ni de lugar, insisto, un circo de tres pistas en el que a la vez tenía que contar la historia que pasa fuera de escena, lo que pasa dentro de escena, e incluso las reacciones del público a lo que pasa dentro de escena. Por alguna razón pensé en Orson Welles, no sin compararme, por supuesto, de ninguna de las maneras, pero pensé que era un proyecto que le habría gustado mucho a Orson Welles, por la necesidad de manejar la relojería del cine, por un lado, y por otro lado, la del teatro, un mundo que él amaba y que conocía profundamente desde dentro. Y curiosamente, también pensé en otro gran maestro personal, que es Billy Wilder, imaginando ese mundo tan pesimista, duro, terrible, en el que había que encontrar, a pesar de todo, humor. Incluso de esa forma a veces tan envenenada que usaba Billy Wilder, tan vitriólica, pero a la vez, aunque eso se le ha reconocido menos, tan romántica, porque Billy Wilder de alguna manera no parece confiar en el ser humano jamás, pero sí en el amor y tal vez solo en el amor.
Cuéntame es solo otra pregunta y ya nos marchamos. La película ha hecho una buena gira, una tournée de festivales, me parece. ¿Puedes contarnos un poco la importancia que tienen los festivales? La peli se estrena ahora en Estados Unidos y en el mundo ya se ha estrenado en algunos sitios. No estoy bien informado, pero cuéntanos un poquillo eso.
Sí, lo que sucede con los festivales a veces da más miedo que otra cosa, porque la buena marcha de tu película en festivales se recibe casi con más alivio que, que alegría, porque se juegan muchas cosas en muy poco tiempo y de alguna manera da la sensación de que antes de que desfilen los títulos de crédito y ya hay alguien dispuesto a escribir algo a ver si es capaz de generar una opinión que se extienda lo antes posible. Y uno trata de recordar todo el rato que lo que hace es cine y recordarse como espectador y recordarse con la ilusión de ir a ver una película que tiene buena pinta y que vas a ver un viernes y de la que no te preguntas jamás, cuando tenías 12 años, no te preguntabas jamás si había tenido un buen viernes, si había recuperado gastos o si había hablado bien de ella nadie, sino que esa película permanecía en una estantería para siempre, si la película estaba bien. Y cuando ves El Príncipe de la Ciudad de Sidney Lumet ya no sabes ni te importa qué pasó en su primer fin de semana cuando por fin sale del mercado de la carne. Pero a la vez son los sitios donde va la gente que ama el cine y donde, sobre todo, determinadas películas que no pertenecen a una rueda o una maquinaria pueden encontrar su oportunidad de que alguien levante la cabeza. Eso vivimos, por ejemplo, hace unos años en Buried, una película destinada a ser muy pequeña y casi una película para muchos de museos, y de repente un montón de ojos se ponen encima de ella en Sundance, por ejemplo, y eso hace que la bola de nieve empiece a rodar por el lado correcto de la ladera. Así que hay que aceptar las dos caras de todo porque todo tiene dos caras.
Muy bien, Rodrigo, enhorabuena y a ver, espera un minuto, voy a parar esto. ¿Qué tal en Barcelona? Bien, ¿estás trabajando entonces?
Sí, ahora estoy en Madrid, yo vivo en Madrid,
Ah,
y
estás
esta
en
película,
Madrid.
la película en la que estoy trabajando ahora, que es Escape, no sé si has oído hablar de ella, pero hace poco se hizo oficial en Variety
Qué bien,
que Martin Scorsese entraba como productor ejecutivo.
genial.
Y, y estoy, bueno, pues agotado porque estoy en la semana 3 de rodaje, pero a la vez recordando cada día que tengo mucho que agradecer.
Claro, pues mil gracias y mucha suerte y gracias. Enhorabuena por la peli, me encantó. Vale,
Gracias, te lo agradezco
ahora,
muchísimo. Nos vemos pronto, adiós.
chao, hasta luego.